Hello everyone and welcome back to Alternative Apex. We are here at the Monza circuit, the Temple of Speed, for round 12 of the 2022 Formula 1 season. As you can see, the skies are not especially bright as rain is falling here in Monza. Rain is not too heavy at the moment, so the race will go ahead as planned, no worries of a delayed start or anything. But certainly going to require at least intermediate tyres for this race start, as the track is certainly very damp here. So, going to be a real challenge for the drivers today. Let's see in what order they shall take on this challenge. So here we have the starting grid for today's race. It is Sergio Perez on pole position ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Alfa Romeo getting onto the front row in their home Grand Prix. I'm sure they'll be overjoyed with that qualifying performance. Down the rest of the grid, we have the two Mercedes locking out the second row of the grid with Russell ahead of Hamilton. Then it's Charles Leclerc, championship leader, in 5th place, with Zhou Guanyu in 6th, making it a very strong qualifying for Alfa Romeo. Then in 7th is Alex Albon, looking to score his first points of the season. Behind him is Mick Schumacher, Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen rounding out the top 10. Just outside the top 10 you have Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz, with Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo behind them. Now to sort of the final few places on the grid, we have Pascal Wehrlein in 15th, Latifi in 16th, Lando Norris 17th, Lance Stroll in 18th. You'll see lots and lots of grid penalties back here. Yuki Tsunoda, then Max Verstappen, whilst his teammate starts on pole, he's down in 20th. And then the final row of the grid is the two Frenchmen of Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly. Now it is time to go down to the grid where preparations are beginning for today's race. You can see here all the teams getting those cars ready, putting on the correct tyre compound. Of course, in these conditions, I imagine most of the field will go the same way, and that, as you can see on the McLaren just about, is intermediate tyres there. So this is definitely a throw a spanner in the works for all of these teams' plans. And it could definitely have some effects on the championship, because while Sainz is starting way behind Leclerc in this race, he is sort of, in these conditions, anything can happen. So Leclerc will have to probably play it safe given his situation in the championship. He has a big points lead. He can just cruise to a solid result today, whereas maybe there's a chance that Sainz takes some more risks to try and sort of catch up in the championship, because really, at this point in the season, he doesn't really have anything to lose, so I think that certainly could be something to keep an eye on in today's race. But on pole position is Sergio Perez, who last time we saw him sort of out front was back in, well, Jeddah, round 2 of the season, so it's been a while for Sergio Perez, so let's see if he can take his second win of the season. But he's got Valtteri Bottas alongside him on the front row, who in his team's home race will be looking, I'm sure, to have a strong race today. But here we are, the drivers are now lining up into their grid positions, ready for today's race. The lights are coming on now ahead of the drivers. All 5 lights are on, and we are racing in Monza. It's a strong start there from Bottas in 2nd place on the grid immediately. He's attacking Sergio Perez on the run down into turn 1. Who's going to come out on top here? He's fully side by side with the Rebel as they go into the first braking zone of the race. They're side by side for the lead. Behind them we've got the two Mercedes battling, but Bottas is going to try and get the better traction out of turn 2, and he is going to do exactly that. Valtteri Bottas and Alfa Romeo are going to lead the Italian Grand Prix. Sergio Perez drops back to 2nd, but in that Rebel will be looking to fight straight back as you've got the two Mercedes battling still behind. Hamilton has jumped ahead of Russell as Zhou has jumped ahead of Charles Leclerc down there in the battle for 5th and 6th place. So all the drivers on the right hand side of the grid got a much better start than those on the left. So now we see Alex Albon here fighting off Mick Schumacher. Albon starting in the top 10, really looking to try and keep up some momentum from that qualifying session to try and carry into this race where he can hopefully get Williams' first points of the season. However, it's showing so far this season that the Williams car doesn't quite have the pace, so down 7th at the moment. But out front it is Valtteri Bottas and Alfa Romeo who lead here in Italy. But look there, Sergio Perez is right on the back of the Alfa Romeo as they come out of Ascari. Perez in the slipstream now as they go down towards the curve of Alboreto. He's pulling out, he's going to the outside. They're going to be side by side for the final corner of the first lap. Who is going to back out of this one? Sergio Perez is going to try and go all the way around the outside. They're sliding in these slippy conditions. Right behind them we've got Hamilton, who is, well, certainly not afraid of the wet conditions. He's going to make it 3 wide for the lead of the race. 3 cars for the lead. Who is going to come out on top here? Hamilton looks like he's got the run there. Russell's nearly involved as well. He chooses not to make it forward. But going to be 3 wide into the braking zone. Side by side by side. Who is going to come out on top? They're still side by side. Bottas, Perez battling it out. Bottas again looking to try and get a better traction off of turn 2. Can he make this one stick as they go through the Curva Grande now? He's battling hard here with the Red Bull driver. They're side by side still as they make make their way into the second chicane. Bottas on the outside. Can he take this lead back? Or is Sergio Perez going to take it? He will. Sergio Perez takes back the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. George Russell has jumped up ahead of Lewis Hamilton as well in that kerfuffle. But now this racing has very much got exciting here as the Mercedes cars, their battle is far from over. Lewis Hamilton all over the back of George Russell once again. He's going to try and go to the outside of the final corner, but he's going to find that quite a tricky move to pull off here. There's not much grip anywhere on this racetrack, but putting yourself on the outside of a rival is certainly not going to help your chances much at all here. Leclerc right behind this battle as well, as he has cleared Zhou Guanyu in the process. Now we see them racing down towards turn 1 once again. Russell covers off the inside now as Charles Leclerc goes between the two Mercedes cars, trying to thread the needle. Russell very late on the brakes. He's going to get side by side with Bottas here as well. Can he get up into second place? Whilst his teammate drops down to 5th. Russell trying to get up into second, and he will do successfully here as George Russell passes Bottas with very late braking down into turn 1. Got the traction out of turn 2 and is now up into second place. Whilst we look back further down the order, we've got Carlos Sainz, who is up into 7th place in this race so far. Now we have Charles Leclerc trying to make the move to get into the podium positions here. Valtteri Bottas may have got the lead early on, but Alfa Romeo doesn't seem quite to have the pace it needs us down the inside. Goes Charles Leclerc into turn 1. Looking to try and take this position away from Valtteri Bottas here as they come out of turn 2, and Leclerc is up into 3rd position now. So a good move from the Ferrari driver, who is making some consistent progress so far in today's race. Now up the road ahead of him is George Russell and then Sergio Perez, who leads this race still for Red Bull. But it seems like things might be starting to close up here at the front of the field. Now we see Hamilton on the back of Valtteri Bottas, trying to get up into 4th place. Bottas is just falling backwards at the moment. A shame to see for the driver who had such a strong qualifying session and was looking so good on lap 1. But in the end, it's not looking like this race will go his way, as he's dropping down all the way down to 5th now. And with Carlos Sainz, the car behind him, there's a good chance that that may even mix him up, as now we've got some cars pulling into the pit lane. And the track is beginning to dry. This could well be for slick tyres. The rain has stopped falling, as now there's yellow flags out. Oh, and that's Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton, is that another Mercedes engine? It is. It's another Mercedes engine failure. Lewis Hamilton is going to be out of this race. And for, well, I've lost count this season. Yet again, there is a Mercedes engine failure here, as drama strikes that team just another time. It's hard to believe at this point they still have those issues to fix. But drivers now leaving the pit lane on slick tyres. Sergio Perez has gone to the medium, so has Russell. But crucially, Charles Leclerc has gone to the soft compound tyres. As a lap later, Carlos Sainz is going to bring his Ferrari down pit lane. He had to do that extra lap there to avoid double stacking with his teammate. Crucially now, what tyre compound will he go to? Pulls into that pit box, and what's going on? That's hard compound tyres for Carlos Sainz. We said he might take some risks. That certainly looks like a risk to me. Everyone else going with soft or mediums. Carlos Sainz is going to go to the hards, and he's come out just behind his teammate here. That's not too bad, given they did an extra lap on those intermediate tyres. So whilst Leclerc struggles to get those tyres up to temperature, it looks like he's maybe gained a bit on the inters, has Carlos Sainz. Now we see the two Alfa Romeos battling, so maybe there's some sort of problem on Valtteri Bottas' car here. The fact that he is now having to defend from his teammate, who so far this season he's had the measure of him. Now we see them racing out of the curve grande there, side by side between the Alfa Romeos, diving onto the brakes into the second chicane. Down the inside goes Zhou Guanyu. Great move there. The Alfa Romeo driver now up into the top 5, as Hülkenberg will be the next car to put the pressure on Valtteri Bottas here, as Bottas at this point just wants to try and stop the bleeding. He is just consistently dropping places, and I think he just needs a bit of a break. Maybe you give him a couple laps without losing a position. He might be able to maintain some track position, maybe build up his pace again, but so far it's not gone his way. As now we make our way towards Ascari. Now Hülkenberg right on the back of Bottas, but not able to make the move happen. Now we're on board with Charles Leclerc, who's going to attack George Russell here on those soft tyres. Look at the difference of grip. That is huge there from Charles Leclerc. Flies around the outside of George Russell there. Russell dropping down to 3rd, but he's not going to give up this fight easily. He's back in the slipstream of the Ferrari. He's going to go to the outside. Not quite able to. Maybe wants to use the slipstream down this straight now to try and get ahead of the Ferrari, ahead of him now. Let's see. George Russell in the slipstream. He's going to go to the left. He's going to go to the right here. The inside for turn 1. Looks like he's got the pace though, just to fly past the Ferrari. And whilst the Ferrari may have the grip in the corners, the Mercedes looking quicker on the straight there. DRS, of course, helping out quite a bit, as now they're side by side through the first chicane. Leclerc really could do with using these soft tyres whilst he has them. He can't afford to waste this stint whilst others are on a harder compound tyres. Now we look further down the order with Alonso racing Albon here. Albon has fallen back to 9th in this race, but still crucially in the points for Williams, so they'll be looking to try and hold on to this top 10 position as they race into turn 1. Down the inside goes Fernando Alonso. Now to the outside Can he go all the way around the outside of the Williams? It looks like that's exactly what he's going to do here. Alonso up into 9th position now. The Williams of Alexander Albon dropping into 10th place there, and is it's looking like he's just going to have to try and hold on to that position, because that Williams certainly hasn't got the pace to be in the top 10. It's there because it's sort of strategized its way there and qualified its way there. As now we see that's going to be a battle here between Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Leclerc looks for the move into Ascari again. This time he had to back out of it, and that has allowed Sainz to get a great run out of the Ascari chicane and to the outside of Curva Alboreto, side by side of the two Ferraris, hard versus soft tyres. This is an interesting battle to say the least. Leclerc will hold on to the position for now, but as they make their way down the main straight once again, who is going to come out on top of this battle? The Ferraris. We've seen them duel away this season. It looks like they're going to duel again here, as that is Carlos Sainz who's going to get ahead of his teammate, but Leclerc on the inside line, he's going to brake late, down the inside he goes. Has he managed to get back ahead of his teammate? Sainz, I believe, is still there, but it looks like Leclerc has got the track position once again. Sainz on those hard tyres maybe doesn't quite have the grip his teammate has at this stage in the race. Now, moving on a little bit, Charles Leclerc has pulled away from his teammate and now is putting the pressure on George Russell for that second position once again, and on this occasion it's a much easier pass down the inside of turn 1. Well, he sort of passed him on the straight and then just covered off the inside of turn 1 really. So Charles Leclerc makes a nice move, uses that Ferrari to his advantage, and is up into 2nd place now. And the next car ahead of him is Sergio Perez. He'll have to try and hunt down 3 seconds behind him at the moment. So, got a bit of work to do, but he's not too far back at this point in the race. However, just when he thought he might be starting to pull away, Russell right on the back of the Ferrari, and where's he gone? Charles Leclerc has gone straight on in turn 1, just about keeps it on the racetrack, but there, has lost that position once again. As you see battling further down the order, it's Hülkenberg versus Zhou, making their way through the first chicane. Zhou is going to hold on to that position at the moment. That Porsche looks like it has quite strong pace at the moment, in 6th place, behind the Alfa Romeo of Zhou Guanyu. Valtteri Bottas is in 7th at the moment, so he's very much in this fight still, but as we've seen him have some issues in this race so far, maybe he just needs to try and get what he can from it, I suppose. As now we see Charles Leclerc again making the move on George Russell. Nice and easily done down the straight once again. That Ferrari top speed advantage coming in handy with the help of DRS, of course, as he once again battling into the first chicane. This time it's Bottas versus Hülkenberg, so there's been some mixing up in this little group going on here. Bottas up back into 5th position. He had those issues early on, but maybe this is a sign that he's got those issues fixed now, as he is up into 5th position. Looks like he's going to try and pull away now from the Porsche behind him, as back towards the front of the field we have Charles Leclerc just ahead of George Russell at the moment. Russell still on the back of the Ferrari, and that maybe was a sign his tyres were starting to struggle there with Charles Leclerc's, as he does come into the pit lane at the end of lap 12 for a fresh set of tyres. Now, what compound will he go to here? Pulls into the pit box. What's going to be? It's going to be medium tyres to the end now for the Ferrari driver, as he looks to try and gain as many places back on the track as possible. But let's see, where is he going to come out? Going to come out all the way down in, 18th position there, almost 19th it could well be. Going to be side by side with Latifi as he exits the pit lane. Latifi just barely ahead, but I imagine those fresh tyres for Charles Leclerc, plus the power of that Ferrari, should get him straight back past the Williams, and indeed it does. Leclerc drops us to 18th place now, and he's going to have some traffic to worry about ahead of him. But the first car he's going to come up against in terms of traffic is Max Verstappen, who is having an utterly miserable day today, as he's stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda at the moment, so things not quite going the way of the Dutchman. As now we see another bold move from Charles Leclerc to the outside of the Ascari chicane. Nice work there from the Monegasque, up into 17th place now. However, I imagine there's a lot of drivers that still need to make another pit stop. However, all those people that went onto the mediums in that pit stop will have gained, well, not gained, but will be able to go a little bit longer in that first stint, unlike Charles Leclerc. Now, back up to the battle at the back end of the points, we have Alonso versus Albon once again. Alonso on the inside, and it's going to clear the Williams as they go into turn 1 now. Nice and easily done for the Alpine, as now behind them we've got a battle going on between Sebastian Vettel and Kevin Magnussen there. Vettel makes the corner nice and easily, whilst Magnussen had a little bit of a lock-up, and that has allowed him to get ahead of him and up into the points-paying position, which for Aston Martin would be a massive result for them. Now I see Bottas racing Hülkenberg once again. It looks like Bottas was unable to break away from the Porsche driver, as they're going to be racing down towards the Lesmos, and on this occasion it is Bottas who managed to get ahead once again. However, Hülkenberg is looking like he's very much in that fight for a top 5 position at the moment. Now on lap 15, 3 laps after Leclerc pit, Sergio Perez is going to come down pit lane on those medium tyres. Now what tyre compound will he go to in this stop as he pulls into his pit box now? And it looks like that is that hards or mediums? I can't quite tell. That looks like a set of hards, I say with no confidence at all, as that's certainly hard on the Mercedes of George Russell, and it is hard on Perez as well. So they're, well, shockingly going for a harder compound here than Leclerc went. But they are going to come out quite a, well, Perez at least is going to come out quite a bit ahead of Leclerc thanks to that traffic. As George Russell is going to come out side by side with Leclerc here. Where have I seen this before? These two battling away through the first chicane, keeping it nice and clean. Good to see that they can do that. As now out of the first chicane, now towards Curva Grande, who is going to come out on top in this little battle. Russell on those hards. It's really probably important for him to get this track position because those hards are going to take a while to heat up and he can't afford to let Charles Leclerc break away because he's clearly been quick in this race so far. So side by side through the second chicane. Who's going to be ahead on this corner exit? Looks like Russell's got the position, and indeed he does here. As now that's, I believe, Verstappen having a little bit of a look at Charles Leclerc. Not able to pull off the move though, so the Red Bull, sorry, very much two different races for the Red Bull team today. Now up in second place is Hülkenberg, who's one of the last drivers to pit, but Carlos Sainz still yet to pit in this race. So it looks very much like those hard tyres could go to the end of this race with 10 laps left. He has gone the longest of anyone in this race on these on this stint of the race. So those hard tyres looking like they may well be able to go to the end, in which case Sergio Perez has got 17.5 seconds to catch up, which is, well, certainly not going to be an easy task for him to do. So Sainz, we said he would take some risks today, and that looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. Let's just hope those tyres survive to the end. Now, while Sainz leads this race, his teammate battling back up the order again, up into fourth position to the outside of George Russell, wheel to wheel through here now. And out of turn 2 they go. It is Russell who continues to be a thorn on the side of Charles Leclerc. The Ferrari just seems unable to get past the Mercedes, although he's looking for the move here into the second chicane. Going to go down the inside. That's going to be a brave move. Doesn't quite commit to it in the end. Oh, Russell goes a little bit deep though, but they both sort of back out of that one, and Russell maintains fourth position at the moment. Verline ahead of him is yet to pit, and I believe he is planning on pitting in this race, so that is essentially the battle for the final position on the podium here. Leclerc back on the back of George Russell now as they go towards Ascari. We've seen this move before and we're going to see it again. Charles Leclerc around the outside. Great racecraft there. Using his tyre grip advantage to the best of his abilities there, and is up into fourth position and a net third there. On lap 17 the race is now on lap 18. We see Charles Leclerc clear the Porsche of Pascal Wehrlein. So nice bit of racing there. Clearly gets ahead, that Porsche doing a bit of a different strategy. I believe the Porsche is also on hard, the same as Sainz, but I don't think the Porsche has the tyre wear to make it to the end of the race. Perhaps that's a sign that Sainz might not be able to get to the end of the race as well, but I believe Sainz did pit a couple laps later than the Porsche did, so maybe there's a difference there. As indeed we do see Wehrlein come down pit lane now, dropped all the way down to 5th, and is going to come into the pits for a set of soft compound tyres. So looking to do something a little bit different to try and break his way back into the top 10. Where is Wehrlein going to come out here as he exits the pit lane? Going to be 18th place there for Wehrlein as he exits onto the racetrack. He's nicely ahead of Ricciardo, but he's got a lot of ground to make up if he wants to try and get some points from today's race. Now you have Alonso, who's been having a lot of battles in this race so far today, mostly with Williams cars, but now on this occasion is going to be Schumacher that he's going to clear down the straight, nice and easily done. The Alpine looking like with the help of DRS it's quite easily able to get up ahead of the car that's racing, so Alonso up into 7th place. Now Mick Schumacher is dropping down to 8th, as now we look back to Alex Albon, who was at one point in this race was looking like a points contender, now down in 13th place and under pressure from Sebastian Vettel, who goes down the inside of the final corner, the Curva Alboreto it is, of course renamed recently, as we see Sebastian Vettel wheel to wheel with Albon. Two teams and two drivers yet to score points this season. Let's see, as now right behind them, that is, I believe, Kevin Magnussen getting involved here. As also behind them, Wehrlein's getting involved on those fresh soft tyres. He's going to slice his way through the field, threading the needle. He's going to go around the outside of this free-wide battle, and Wehrlein started that straight in 17th place, finishes that straight in 13th place. That is quite astounding there from the Porsche driver, who is getting 4 places on one straight. So, a good bit of racecraft there and using those soft tyres very well. Showing that they have got a lot of grip in them, and with the help of DRS, of course, able to clear ahead of some of those drivers. Now, we have a battle for the 7th position. Once again, Schumacher got passed by Alonso a few laps ago, and Alonso is going to have to defend on this occasion, because Mick Schumacher is going to head to the outside of turn 1, and he's going to take that position back as they're free wide here for, I believe this is 9th, 10th and 11th. So one of these drivers isn't scoring points today. Norris, Joe and Stroll. Stroll, of course, and Aston Martin, of course, yet to score points this season. So he'll be looking to try and just stay in this top 10 at all costs. But he's very much feeling the pressure in this little battle, as Joe is right on the back of him, but he's going to attack Lando Norris into the second chicane. Norris goes a little bit deep, but looks like he's covered that off nicely there. Stroll dropping down to 10th, and now he's going to have to look in his mirrors as Joe is now the car behind him. And it doesn't look like Joe wants to stay there, because the outside of Ascari, we've seen some battles here before, and just like Charles Leclerc in another Italian car in the Italian Grand Prix, Joe will get up into 10th place here around the outside of Ascari. Nice little bit of racing, but Stroll right on the back of him. Looks like he's got a very nice exit there as they go into the final corner here. Side by side racing, Stroll doing all he can to hold the position. A bit of wheel banging there. I believe Joe got sideways just a little bit on the corner entry. And now that allowed Stroll to get back ahead, but on this straight, I don't know if that's what you want to be. As now right behind them, they have the two Porsches. Hulkenberg is going to be attacking Joe into turn 1 now. Side by side racing. Will Hulkenberg go for Stroll as well? He's going to go to the outside of Lance Stroll there. To the outside. Can he get it done? On the brakes, they're going to be side by side still on the exit of turn 2. Lance Stroll holds on to that top 10 position at the moment as the Porsches have both got past Zhou Guanyu for 11th and 12th place there. So when attacking, when you sort of make those attacks and they don't go as you planned, that tends to be how you lose positions. And that's exactly what's happened to Joe there. Risked the attack on Lance Stroll and it's cost him a couple of places as we've got a battle here between Alonso and Norris. Alonso perhaps having some issues in this race. Let's have a look here. He was battling with Mick Schumacher, and yes, Alonso has missed the chicane. He's locked up his tyres, gone straight on, and that has allowed Mick Schumacher to get comfortably ahead and also dropped him into the path of Lando Norris, who is right on the back of the Alpine now. So they go into the final corner. Lots of wheel-to-wheel racing through this corner, so it looks like a great sort of position on the track to be a spectator as they're side by side coming out of Curva Alboreto down the main straight once again. Not much longer left in this race now. Side by side they go. Norris up into 8th position. Alonso looks like he's going to have to try and recover this position after his mistake a couple of laps ago. Now I've got racing here for 10th position. Stroll and Hulkenberg, the final points paying position. Stroll is going to lose that place to Hulkenberg, who drops who gets up into 10th place. Stroll looking for Aston Martin's first points of the season, and it doesn't look like that is going to come today. But up front, Carlos Sainz, he managed this strategy to perfection. He's barely lost any ground at all, despite being on a harder compound tyre, an older tyre. It has been a brilliant drive. Carlos Sainz, he won in Spa, he wins in Monza. What a drive, take a bow, Carlos Sainz. Brilliant driving, brilliant management. And Ferrari once again win the Italian Grand Prix, and for the second time this season, Carlos Sainz is a winner on the for the Italian team in the Italian Grand Prix. As now we see a battle going all the way down to the line. Sergio Perez will just about stay off Charles Leclerc, ahead of Charles Leclerc there, as Russell is in 4th, with Esteban Ocon looking set to take 5th place here for the Alpine team, as Bottas looks like he's going to end up 6th for Alfa Romeo. So here is our race winner, Carlos Sainz, celebrating this victory. That's got to feel good. So this is the part of the season where it was now or never for Carlos Sainz to start finding some form, and that's exactly what he's done. Credit to him entirely. That's just wonderful to see Sainz doing so well once again, and it really feels like the start of the season. Carlos Sainz is back here. Back-to-back wins now, 3 wins on the season, not quite anywhere near his teammates, 8 wins this season so far, but he's getting himself in that position now where he is a regular win contender once again this season, and that's all he can do. I mean, the points gap he's got to his teammate, it's going to take some luck probably to get into this title fight again, realistically, but he has to put himself in that position where if the luck does come, he can take advantage of it, because so far this season, in recent races before now, it was looking very much like Sainz could have a miracle and still not gain much on Leclerc, whereas now it really looks like Sainz is a capable driver and certainly capable of taking that fight to his teammate on a regular basis. So here are your official results for the Italian Grand Prix. Sainz wins it for Ferrari from 12th on the grid as well, so just adds to the impressiveness of that race victory. Sergio Perez takes 2nd for Red Bull. Charles Leclerc gets fastest lap and also 3rd place for Ferrari there. Behind them, it is George Russell and Esteban Ocon running out the top 5 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Nico Hulkenberg and Pascal Wehrlein as the first driver to miss out on points today. Now we look to the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc's lead has come down to just 38 points now. After being at 55 points 2 races ago, that gap has come down substantially. Almasi still is very much in control of this championship. It's going to probably start to put some pressure back on the shoulders of Charles Leclerc and perhaps require him to step up his game once again this season, like he did earlier in the season after the engine failures. It's looking like he doesn't need to worry too much because he's still got that healthy points buffer, but maybe just start to push that a little bit more to ensure that he maintains the championship lead there. But Carlos Sainz in second, 38 points back. Sergio Perez up into third in the championship now after that second place result. Verstappen dropping down to fourth ahead of the two Mercedes drivers in fifth and sixth. Now we look to the constructor standings. Ferrari, unsurprisingly, after yet another successful day, have grown their Constructors' Championship lead. A very strong day for the team ahead of Red Bull Racing. There's Mercedes in third still in a little bit of a world of their own. They have Alpine, who continue to score big points and consistent points this season as they pull away from Alfa Romeo, with Porsche behind them. Then Haas, McLaren and AlphaTauri in 7th, 8th and 9th, with Aston Martin and Williams both yet to score points this season. So that was it for today's episode here in Alternative Apex. I hope you all enjoyed the drama today. That wet to dry certainly mixed things up. So I very much hope you enjoyed it. Next up is the Singapore Grand Prix, so make sure to subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out on any future races. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.